Yahoo! Prof here, and I still don't have OBS installed. So your friendly neighborhood vulnerability analyst is doing some ghetto stuff, as in putting the preview window, first camera in the lower right corner, manually. The reason why we're back here today, though, is there have been some updates. Some brands have already provided updates to their products. It's kind of crazy. There was a Steam one. I think it's this guy here. Nope. Is it this guy? Found it on my work computer. Well, ignoring that, not enabled. Let's see if we can find it. Either way, I may or may not have better links than what they had in that article, but it did kind of tip me off to some of these brands already kind of starting to remediate this. Yes, this is only a couple days later. Read this first. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Here we go. Okay, so once again, where this comes from, I'm not going to pull the game up this time. I'm not actually gaming tonight already. But basically, even if you have TPM 2.0 enabled and you have an older system that's capable, there's a high chance, it's far more likely on AMD, but it is possible still on Intel. We saw at some of the OEM manufacturers like your Lenovo, your Dell, your HP, that oh, can I not size this guy down? Yeah. Look at this ghetto-ness right here. And then if we have a power toy, always on top, Windows Control T. So Windows Control T. Look at that. We've now pinned this. My awesome thing where it even sees that I am the autofocus there. So what should I do if I enable TPM 2.0 but I get prompted right here? Basically, this is saying you have the wrong version. If we go to COD updates on Twitter, they also address this. However, COD updates nor the page for the... Oh, we got some more updates because people like me and all of you, if your motherboard and or manufacturer has not released updates, please submit those support tickets. Hit them up on social media, or, you know, if it's like Reddit is their main place or something, hit them up there, or MSI has their own forum. You know, do it there. Try to make it public, because the issue is that Call of Duty is enabling this before it is ready and available, right? MSI is releasing patch updates for AM4 motherboards to address TPM-related errors. And they have their MSI post. That is the same MSI post right here as of their global forum. That's as of the 6th. It is currently the 9th, but that's only because we wrapped around past midnight. Basically 2 days ago is when they addressed it, which is, when did I originally make my video? On Friday? That would have been the 5th. So on a Saturday, they are addressing this. Good on them, because it's a huge issue. I personally, what I would have liked to see for Call of Duty is reach out to these manufacturers before you're going to pull this shit. Or did they already and they didn't? That's the other thing that could have happened here, right? That they tried and they didn't move, but they're trying to use you guys, the gamers, to do it. Now, I don't necessarily think that's the case because though this... Okay, so we'll go back to the Call of Duty page. They link to here, right? They say... if your manufacturer is AMD 3-star 0 or 3 asterisk 0 asterisk, it's basically going to be not good enough, right? The bad thing about this guide, by the way, is that they only show ones that don't work. They should show ones that do. Like, oh, this is bad, this is good. Very simple thing to do with documentation. You want a confirmation, especially on something like this. So when you click this, more details on this known issue. AMD says, resolve this issue in 2022. They literally couldn't have. We have been confirmed by some of the manufacturers that have fixed this finally. Some of them, and I was right that it was going to happen, some of them have put the actual vulnerability, and in GIGABYTE's case, the name of the CVE in their description of the remediation of the vulnerability. I have no idea why it just stuttered like hell there. So there you go, CVE 2025-2884, and that is the one that we were researching last time. So the random Reddit comment that brought up that CVE, random Reddit commenter, you are correct. So my comments last time were not for naught. This isn't something that has gone unaddressed for years, which can sometimes actually happen with vulnerabilities, especially on... You got to remember, AM4, every update has been beta for AM4 for years at this point, basically. Though they just dropped the 5500X3D, it is on extended support at this point. So we're kind of lucky to be getting the updates that we are. So I could see a platform like that is not something they're actively necessarily actively selling. Yeah, there might be new boards out on the market, but are they actively manufacturing new ones is the question. Maybe for developing countries, however you want to say that, right? But that's why you might see a little bit worse support, because we're well into the life of... Yes, we're looking at X570, but you have to remember, this also applies to... Oop. Can I do... Which tab is it? I always forget. Because I can't get to the tab that I want. Oh. That could work. Nope. Here, we'll do this ghetto. I forget what... I normally never have to switch tabs with the keyboard in Firefox. But we can go to my AB350. Right. First gen motherboard, B series, ITX board, and Chibi PC. My ITX LAN rig, backup main PC. Still not updated. So still applies to here as well, because this has a GISA Combo Pi 120E. Doesn't have F yet. But it's nice to see that we're actually getting movement out of these brands. Hopefully, I don't know if it's from all of you or they're finally responding. Maybe enough support tickets came in that they're like, oh shit, we got to take care of this. I'm glad it is. I did not see this Call of Duty update. When was this posted? 8th at 7 p.m. So yeah, I've been working. That's why I didn't see this. I did, however, see this article or this discussion topic on Steam, where it gets down into regarding ASRock. No, your BIOS isn't there. For those of you using this to get this fixed by ASRock, It is not it. This is from 828, 829. This is not a fix. Here's the Taichi 567 from 820 to 25. If you notice, no mention of the TPM module. This could be related. This update allows you to play COD Warzone again, as requires a minimal firmware update version. That seems to apply to, like different ones of these, right? All this one does that they linked in this article, that's why I wanted to bring it up, is basically going into the Combo Pi F version, which is not enough. That is what I did on my own computer. Asus made that available. Here you can see it on 821. Just going to F is not enough because that does not update the TPM firmware. You need the TPM firmware on top of that. That vulnerability, as we discussed before, is this CVE 2025 2884. Came out June 10th. So realistically, actually, the fact that I think we did see some HPs that were done in July, some Dells that were done in August, and Lenovo's that were already done, and they're planning to be done by the end of September. That is actually relatively quick, especially for the number of systems and the number of UEFIs that have to be updated, right? It's good to know, though, that this is confirmed by GIGABYTE. It is not just relating to this generic page from AMD that says, oh, we fixed this in 2022. No, the specific thing that is needing to be fixed is this CVE that just came out. Relatively just came out. Just ran into another one, SQLite, or SQL Lite. Is it SQLite or SQL Lite? SQLite. My brain is, it's supposed to be an S there. SQLite. Of course. I'm not a ribbit. Those are all motorcycles. Please, Google. Yeah, those are motorcycles. That's a chimney. That's a bicycle. Gotta love when you get in this endless loop trying to just Google something. There we go. Yep, SQLite. There's a big vulnerability that just came out. I think it was July for that they patched. Places don't have that patched because that's like a dependency within software. There are places that do not have not updated that within their software, or if they have not made it widely available. Or say within companies, you then have to test that new version and make sure it's compatible with what the hardware and software that you have, and you can roll it out and all that sort of stuff, right? So this is actually a pretty quick turnaround, to be truthful. Now that I'm knowing exactly what it is, it's good to see that these places are responding. Like I said, MSI within 2 days ago had a forum post that is 1 day after, maybe a day and a half after it started popping up. They don't have the files yet, but they acknowledge this happening. A lot of times that is all I need. If you're working in a company, that you can bring to and be like, yes, I have confirmation they've acknowledged it's an issue and they are working on it. That at least buys you time, right? It's better than just hearing nothing, just right? But yeah, this ASRock post, when they say, oh, just keep scrolling down, it should be there. No, it's not, because that only gives you the F BIOS. It does not give you the TPM update. However, because of this page, I was joking with Squeers. Ha ha ha. You got to go on here. By the way, this looks like it's official because it's on the ASRock Reddit, right? But it's done by this Cornflakes 1991, right? Also, all these are random Google Drive links. Maybe not all of them. We were seeing them at work. Where are the... Thought I heard a cat puking. That would have been sad. Yep, here you go. Drive.google.com folders. don't download BIOSes and UEFI firmwares unless it's literally the only way and other people have vetted it already from random Google Drive links on a Reddit post. Not secure. Don't do that. Also, all this did, though, is this did trip us to go and check his board. X570 Tai Chi. Check this out. Ooh. This should have... He literally sent me a picture. Am I not on the right website? Which region am I in currently? Here. You don't believe me? Let me see if I can pop this down with this picture here real quick. It's taking its sweet time. See, very interesting though. Let's hit refresh. Maybe my page just isn't up to date. Yeah, my page isn't up to date. Open image, new tab. Boop. There you go. You can see that he does have it available. So I'm going to have to check here. This may be, and this used to happen with Asus all the time. We are currently on... is it covered up by my face here? Nope. Am I blind? Let's go to Global English. Okay. X570 Tai Chi. A Tai Chi Razor Edition. That's the one that Frozen Slate's got. Sport. BIOS. It is there. Okay. So, maybe it was my bad with the AB350. Maybe we need to do the global one. Often this would happen with Asus, where the global page would be more up to date, and even have models that the US site wouldn't have. Yep, still not up to date here. So, from what I could tell, though, ASRock has all of their X570 boards up to date. Here's Razer. Let's go to support. Yeah, it's got its own fancy-ass page. Updated FTPM version. They, unlike GIGABYTE, do not tell you what it is fixing. I really wish they would. Or tell you what firmware they're going to. You know, that would be a nice touch from both of them, would be update TPM version 2 version number. Then you could check it before you did the update to make sure it's worth your frickin' time. Right? Open image, a new tab. Oh, I don't have permission to get this URL. Okay. Well, Squares did his update, and he went to 394.25. Let's try this again. Open image, a new tab. Error. All right. Well, we'll just chuck this over here for now. There you go. He was on 392.05, and he went to 394.225. That 2 is very important because I did... do I have them screenshots? Maybe. What do we got? What do we got? Huh. Well, I must have missed just screenshots of my exact version. All you have to do to get that is WinR TPM.msc. Mine updated to 394.05. It was on the same version as Squares, the 393.92.05. I went to 394.05. So the F version, right? That seems to bring you up to the 94 here, right? But in regards to remediating the vulnerability, you need a 2 there, no matter what. No matter what the other numbers are, you need a 2, at least for AM4 systems. 5000 series, back on to 1000 series. And 1000 would be iffy. 2000 for sure and newer. On B450 and newer. Some combination of, like I have a 5800 X3D on a B350. Theoretically, that should be able to be updated. If you had a 2000 series on a or a 1000 series on a B450, I don't think you get it. You might be able to fudge that a little bit though, from what I recall. But yeah, so it's good to see Call of Duty confirming. If you want updates directly from them, right? This Call of Duty updates page is where you want to be. Also, if you notice, I figured out, I was like, oh, what if I just put my standard thing at 200% for you guys? So look, you can read it now. I'm learning. Still not using OBS though. Far too much effort. That's a joke, by the way. But it's nice that they're acknowledging that. So far, MSI is the only one that they posted. ASRock has not officially seemed to come out and do it. But, like I said, if you go to their global, the X570 boards will have it. Let's see here. Close that. Big in that. There you go. X5. That's the Razer X570, and you're like, that's the same board. Says it. No, there is actually quite a bit different between the Razer and the normal. The other one that I personally have is the X5 Extreme 4. That's what's in my home theater PC because I needed something with a USB 3 header, which is oddly down in that corner of the board, instead of where it should be. And I needed at least 6 working SATA ports. And with the B series chipset, if you put in a second NVMe, you go down from 6 to 4 working SATA ports. So the other thing was I originally had a 2600 in here, and 2600 is not B550 compatible. It is, however, the oldest CPU you can put in an X570 and still be compatible when running the BIOS for an X3D chip. 2600 is a very compatible chip, going all the way back from first gen boards to third gen, or be fifth gen boards, technically, like 300 series and to 500 series. Not B550 though, that's the one exemption. But if we go to support here, we go to BIOS, this still doesn't say it's updated. However, when I did it via my phone, it was. All right, which is interesting. Oh, there's a lot of Extreme 4s. They kind of stopped using that moniker. X570. There you go. I didn't buy the Wi-Fi AX module because you know what? We've been over this before. You can just slap that Wi-Fi module in there yourself. They're not taking that slot away. There you go. So if you go to the global site, I proved to you once again, you can't be on a regional website. You have to be on the global one. My guess is they just haven't gotten through to localizing that and pushing it out to all those servers. So check if you're running X570, check for the global site and search up your motherboard. When using Google, which is what the ones I've bookmarked were that we went to automatically that I've been to before, they're obviously going to choose the ones for your region. In this case, you had to go to, specifically in my case, to the global site in order to get them. No dice. I checked a whole bunch of Asus boards. I guess we can try to purposely check the global site. Let's go down here. I didn't even think about that until we ran into that just now with ROG Global English. Stay here. What was this thing? It's VII Hero. This guy. Support. I don't know why they can't just put the chipset in the name. When you search Google, that's what it finds. Yeah. Still the one from 821, so nothing there. But the thing I did run into is I asked Mooski, who you guys might remember from Props Pokemon Polls, as well as some of the mouse unboxings, and well, he hit me with his model because I knew he had, I was pretty sure it was GIGABYTE, right? So I'm like, hey, can you hit me with that model real quick? And I knew it wasn't like a new, because there's like X570S. Oh, that's another one that I could check out. ASRock, X570. This is the one that's in my server that I recommend. If you guys ever have an X570 board go out, this is the one you want to buy. This is the updated one with the fanless chipset. And it has a really nice PCI Express layout. Very similar to I like the X670E PG. It wasn't Riptide, it was something else. I used it in a bunch of builds. We can probably, if we go Control Tab, X670E PG Lightning. There you go. So this is kind of like the PG Lightning, right? Where it's got 16X, 1X. I think that's a 4X and a 2X, but backported to X570. Let's see if this thing's got a BIOS update. 9.5 Combo Pi. This specifically has 1203F, whereas this guy has 120F. I think the difference there is that, this is X570, and this guy is X670E, right? Still, the E and the F are shared with the Agisa version, or GISO version. This one does not mention, so be careful there. I haven't tested it myself, but it does not mention, like this one explicitly does, updated FTPM version or the GIGABYTE, but it did come out a little bit before. That came out day of, so maybe not. I'm probably also not on the global site. Let's check this again. This is another one that I've built. A lot of the X670 boards were way, way, way overbuilt. And actually, like, worse, because they'd give you, like, 2 X16 slots for some bloody reason. Nobody's going to use it that way. Whereas the PG Lightning, even though it's the lowest end model, this is, like, its own PG Lightning, like, sub-page, too. Forgot about that. BIOS. Yeah, just got the one from 9.5. Does not mention that. So, horse piece there. But this is the one that's in my server. Highly recommend this one if you guys need to replace the thing. It's got 16X, 1X, 1X, 2X, 1X, 4X, I think. Crazy. Or it might even be 1X, 1X, 4X, 1X, 4X. I think it does only have 6 SATA ports, which is odd for X570. It's got the M.2 Wi-Fi. Like, this thing's killer. This thing is killer for the money. Got USB-C. It looks super stripped down, but they, like, crammed everything into it, right? There you go. Has the 120F and the FTPM version update. So, ASRock, if you have an X570 ASRock, you seem to be good to go. Let me check. We do have a B550 that was going to be what's in the home theater PC until I found out B550. It says it can do 2000 series AMD for those wondering, and apparently in a pre-release BIOS, it could do just general, Like, that's what I was reading back in the day, and I didn't read up-to-date articles. Also, there was the whole thing about, like, 2000 series APUs. So I'd bought this board and ended up not being able to use it because I was trying to put a 2600 in there. Which, yeah, when the CPU is not compatible, does not work very well, right? Pooters. HTPC. Okay, it's got a B550 Steel Legend. This is a banger of a board. The only reason why I couldn't go with the Steel Legend for the X570 is because it didn't have USB-C back in the day. Oh yeah, I forgot we can't do it via that because you won't get the global, you'll get the local one. We're just looking up at some of these. If you guys have models that you need help checking, throw them down below in the comments. Hopefully me or anybody in the community. That's not what was supposed to happen. Hopefully me or somebody in the community can look it up for you and check on it. My guess is based on the fact that X570 is first. We don't need the ASRock part. We just need the B550 Steel Legend. There you go. Both the M and the normal one were banger, by the way. Yeah, this thing's great. 16x slot, 1x, probably covered by your GPU, but it has M.2 Wi-Fi under there, nice and hidden, where it's not cooking your M.2 SSD, which is what it used to do. Then you have a 4x slot and then another 1x slot, and with another with an M.2, then you have 6 SATA. Do be aware if you use the second M.2, you'll lose 2 of those. And then it's got USB-C and USB 3. Another big thing on the back is it's got a SPDIF. So it was a perfect HTPC board because I don't generally need, I actually plan on going 1 M.2 so I could use 6 of those SATA ports. It also has a postcode readout. Look at that. Look at that. 8-segment display. Right? 7-segment? Am I bad at not counting? Yeah, 7-segment display. Oh, you don't get those anymore. So let's check here. Oh, does it actually say something? Yeah. So they have it in big and red now. Supports 3rd gen, 3000 and 4000 series. There you go. As long as you go on the global site, B550 does have it. So we have one more we can check here that I know, because I have a bunch of people out there that either I've helped, or that is a very popular board, and this is really what kicked off the Tai Chi. It was on the X370, but the X470 is really what kicked it off, right? Is the X470 Tai Chi. Yes, I have acquired a kitten. It is time to sit down and watch anime, and I'm not sitting down and watch any anime at the moment because I'm making this video for you guys, and she has taken out Pee-Pee. Oh no, Pee-Pee! Comment down below if you know who Pee-Pee is. No updates on the X470 chipsets yet. Now, there might be other models, but ASRock tends to update. If they update one, it's not like that Asus one where it's like, oh, we updated our ROG line, but we're not updating the ultra super basic X570 board, which is what happened to the one in the repair PC over there. So keep an eye out on Call of Duty updates. They seem to be doing it. If your model still does not have a BIOS update, please reach out to your motherboard vendor by official means, like submit a support ticket, right? And then also do it via public means. Yes, we are public shaming them a little bit, but I would love to know some backstory here, if any of the motherboard manufacturers or PR people are out there, because did this just get dumped on you, or did you know this was coming? Because I sure thought I was fully up to date. I don't, like, we went over this. I keep my system up to date enough, right? But even fully updating it on a supported system didn't get it all the way there, which I was rather surprised with, that was required to play a video game. There is tons of info out there. The big thing is looking to make sure it has, you need the 2 in the third digit. If we go back to AMD's own website, see how it goes 3 asterisk 0 asterisk. I showed you mine. No bueno. Right? Or is it? Well, I put it away already. But no bueno. You need that third digit to be a 2 if you're on 5000 series and older, right? If you're on newer than that, there's a good chance it might be on 6. I don't personally, though I've built many, I don't personally run a X670 or X870 chipset myself. Dang, those 870 boards are even more expensive than 670s too. Like, there are no cheap options. The cheap option is like $300. Watch out for some of this stuff, like MSI. That link was good. This link, not everybody out there knows what they're talking about. Apparently, this person's saying they can get a updated BIOS for their B550F, whereas I have what would have been their second highest end motherboard at the time, which was updated kind of right before this would have been an issue, and it doesn't fix it because I didn't include the TPM firmware update because I don't know that this has ever been an issue before, like where we had to prioritize firmware updates for our security modules to play a video game. I just want to clarify that. Like, people out there complain about installing graphics drivers and creating shaders, right? Processing shaders. This is on a completely different level because this isn't just a BIOS update. If you've done anything in there, XMP only might be pretty easy, but if you've done fan curves, if you got custom RGB lighting configs, if there's a high chance it just forgets all of that and you have to reset it up. When you, like me, on a Friday night have ended work late and you just want to click on some heads. You want to take your Vaxi XEV2 or your brand new Sony Inzone Mouse A and just have some fun, or just chill with the boys. Play whatever game you're feeling. Run around with Mac 10s in Counter-Strike. But no, you're spending an hour and a half troubleshooting why you can't get into a lobby. We've got some movement here pretty quickly. Hopefully we can get the rest of these companies to at least acknowledge, like MSI has, or like ASRock, start releasing updates, and GIGABYTE out of nowhere already updated on the 12th. We'll have to see if Mooski can update his system and see what version it is on. There were, I think it was Dell was one of the ones that updated around this time. It's just interesting to see that because of the fact that GIGABYTE is the place that got their entire RMA system hacked, among other things. They've not always been known for the bestest support, so it's kind of surprising to see that. Hopefully we can get some more updates directly from Call of Duty, from specific manufacturers. I did try to reach out to some SIs out there, Falcon Northwest, who often comments on like PC World podcast. See if how they're handling it. Like, I'm sure they have, and these, remember, are people that have built using custom parts, or even like semi-custom to like your iBuyPower. Sometimes they get their own motherboards and stuff. What does supporting that look like? Because like until the motherboard manufacturers update their UEFI, they can't support their customers, and that is what I deal with off the network. Ran into a whole bunch of things just today with the SQLite thing that I was having to troubleshoot and figure out, like, okay, yeah, you found that vulnerability, but can I do anything about it for you? The answer is no, not yet. There's a whole chain here, right? And some of this is a combination of getting the files from AMD. Also, most of these motherboard manufacturers do not make their own BIOS. You might have seen like American AMI, American Megatrends. You might see Phoenix. You might see all these other ones. They're the ones that actually make that base interface. Like that's why Asus and ASRock are the same. They share the same BIOS OEM, right? So they may have to update stuff, then get them to the team over at, GIGABYTE, Asus, ASRock, MSI, and then they have to put their, UI over top of it, their RGB crap, their Asus Armory crate garbage. Not that we want all that. But that's still, all that takes time, and I would be really interested from anybody inside this if this blindsided these brands, because it blindsided the hell out of me as somebody who pays quite a bit of attention to the like enthusiast PC building, PC, maybe not less the PC gaming side of thing, but like your PC parts, your hardware, all that sort of stuff. I knew TPM 2.0 was coming. I've done videos on that before. Secure boot. I knew as soon as that was going to be, like, basically as soon as Windows 11 hits, any game that launches right around that time or later is going to require it if it has like online play, because that's the whole point of the OS setting a new standard level of security, right? You raise it up, everybody has to have that. Everybody has that. But this is like just a little bit more. I wonder if Windows will actually start flagging for this as well, because theoretically, this is a vulnerability. And yes, Windows will actually tell you if you have vulnerabilities. Windows Defender will. It'll tell you if you try to install, I don't remember if that was 22H2 or 23H2, but if you try and install vulnerable software, it actually won't let you without going through a big thing to override it. So this is a thing where, like, they could tell you, like, yep, you have TPM 2.0, you meet that requirement, but we would recommend you go and get a BIOS update or something to fix this vulnerability. So if you have any questions, comments, throw them down below. This one's a little bit shorter than last time, still on par with the length of a lot of my videos. If there's any models that you want me to specifically look at, I can try. These updates are still trickling out. Like, most of my own systems do not yet have them, but we seem to be getting someplace. So make a little bit of noise. Don't be mean. Don't be like, when you put in your ticket, don't be like, why haven't you updated this yet? Just be like, hey, I'm getting this error in my Call of Duty. And send them a screenshot. Be like, hey, do you have plans to update it? Any idea when my model will be up to date? Yada, yada, yada. Same thing on social media, being like, hey, tried to play Call of Duty this past weekend. You're getting this error. Are you guys working on that? And maybe you'll get a response. Maybe you won't. But at least I can tell you from somebody who works off of tickets, the more tickets you get, the higher priority that like, basically, like, the more complaints you're going to get about a single subject or topic, the higher priority that becomes, right? And the more people affects, the higher priority it becomes. Something that only affects one client or customer, unless they make a big stink or pay for you to do it faster, or is like show-stopping for them, that's pretty low. Like, you'll get to it like you would any other ticket. Now, something that is of like high or especially critical severity, that affects every single customer you manage, especially if it's a product that you sold them, that goes to the top of the list. So, this was just it's blah, 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 blah. It's a interesting combination of what my day job is and leisure. Both on the enthusiast side of things, like a lot of you might not even regularly update your BIOSes, which you should somewhat do if you're going to, like, if you go into, like, say the Tai Chi here. This is a security update. You know, probably should do that one. E, if I recall correctly, it was E or F, was a performance update, and that ties in with the like on Intel you called like a microcode update. It ties in with the scheduler in 24H2. So yep, you want that, and that's where you can kind of track some of this stuff. ASRock is not always the best about their notes. I will say that. What do we got here? Yep, see, there you go. They called it a microcode update. I don't know if it's really a microcode update because that's what Intel calls them. Maybe they're just using common language between their Intel and AMD systems. So we've got, logo fail. That was a big, basically, that was a vulnerability that they could get past by replacing the logo. Like when you boot up and it's like Asus or GIGABYTE, or I always say don't show logo. But they could replace that and use that as a method to take over the system. It did require physical access, but that literally affected like everything. So it's I'm not going to say update your BIOS for no reason, but usually with AMD lately, there is a good reason to update. Then don't forget, when you do these BIOS updates, if you have not yet updated your chipset drivers, I would just wait till after you do the BIOS, because it's actually sometimes can show up either as a new device or a different device. Get yourself over to Okay, oh, that's Slamazon. We don't want Slamazon. Don't go to, for example, here and go. I mean, it's fine, but there are better ways to do this. Don't go here. Go to Windows 11 and do AMD chipset driver, right? Often, very, very, very often, that thing is horribly out of date, right? What do we got here for AMD chipset? We have 5110217, and over here we have, excuse me, what was this one? 582318. Let's go to AMD, because they are going to know. You go to AMD.com, then you go to Radeon and AMD chipsets right here, drivers. Ooh, drivers. Drivers are good. Then you go down to here and go to chipsets, and you choose your chipset. In this case, we're going to choose X570. There you go. That is the latest version right there. Download it, get it. Came out 2025 6/13. So, and the other thing that gets kind of messy, some of these like GIGABYTE here, January 3rd, 2024, they are not using the same naming scheme. They actually have two different versions. They got the 5 and the 3. That's a much older. You can see from 2022. This also can't be right on the way it is named, because we're not up to that version yet. Nope. Same thing when it comes to ASRock. This chipset driver is from 2023 11.7. So they are also not following the same naming conventions as AMD. Because if you look at the release date and you look at the driver version, right? And sometimes if that might not show the best, so you just go to the newest chipset, X870E, hit apply, it'll back, at least for now, it'll back patch, it'll be fully supported. The one thing that is no longer fully supported, I will tell you, is Ryzen Master. And if we go to download, there are now 3. There used to only be 2 versions, but as of the 9000 series, into its lifespan a bit, especially if you have the 9800 X3D or 9950 X3D, you need that guy. On the recent UEFIs that I was talking about, they changed how it works, which is why it needs its own tool. And you can really see that you do not want to be on 2000 anymore. Now that's what I have recommended. Like a 3700X is a banger of a deal. Those were $75 years ago. They got to be going down even further than that. I haven't checked recently, but for an 8-core processor, banger of a deal, right? Get yourself a cheap B550 board. Like those were as low as $80 at one point. And you can get yourself an amazing process or amazing system. That's actually what we did with Mooski. But you really don't want to be on the 2000 series. Like, though technically supported, and if you do a 2000 series, you can get it compatible with Windows 11. It's like Hardware Canucks did a recent thing comparing like mid-range graphics cards. Like, it is the one where it falls off a cliff. Like, we're talking like 50% performance CPU wise in certain scenarios. Like, it's just too far gone, right? And we got Ryzen 3000, 8000, and then we have the new 9000 series. So this might have even been updated from what it used to be, because I swear, because I maintain my own driver folders and backups and everything, because very often they'll pull things down that you need. And if we go to Ryzen Master, okay, so it's the second generation. So here's a cutoff, 2313 3097, and this is 2214. So that's kind of where they stopped updating it for the 2000 series. Cut it off. Just there's probably certain like PBO boost and that sort of stuff that just doesn't work. Then for a while they only had these two, right? And then a bit into the 9000 series, they made version 3, and that almost only exclusively applies to. It's surprising it doesn't do 7000, but yep, it's just 9000 series processors. So that's something to watch out for. Sometimes with drivers that does happen. With BIOSes, it definitely does in regards to the CPUs, since AM4 goes back so far. But yeah, sometimes you can look at the newer ones, but grab the latest one directly from AMD, because it may look like the versions from your ASRock's, your here we can check the Asus. Usually they are the worst out of date. Like, they are the most out of date. Let's find out here. Chipset. What even is this? Huh? And it's out of date. And like that's not. No. See what I mean? Just get your chipset drivers directly from AMD. Get your graphics card drivers directly from AMD, Intel, NVIDIA. The only thing that you often need nowadays, not directly from a manufacturer, is this Realtek audio driver. They used to all be standardized. Then for a while, they all came through the Microsoft Store. Now a lot of them have these customizations. So you really should probably snag that from your driver or from your motherboard company, not the maker of the actual chip. Otherwise, Realtek LAN, here I'll show you. You just go to realtek.com. It used to be .com.tw, and it's going to be in Taiwanese, I believe. And you got to change it to English. And you go over here and you go to downloads. And you don't go to any of these. You go to overview. Right there. And yes, if you click on network, it won't have this. I don't know why. But that's what you need. Also, if you have a Realtek NIC and you're doing wired, don't have a Realtek NIC. Get yourself a Intel NIC. If you have questions on that, I can make a video, or you can reach out. We do have a Discord for questions, comments, that sort of stuff that gets more in depth. Don't install this. Don't install Armory Crate and Aura Creator. Literal garbage. You're poisoning your machine. For Wi-Fi, Jay's 2 Cents recently put out a video where he was having issues, and it was the MediaTek chipset. Throw that trash in the garbage. It might be the only way to get Wi-Fi 7 on AMD. Still stick in an AX210 and just use Wi-Fi 60. Or just disable the chip outright and not use it and use a wire. But the fact that AMD still has not gotten the BE200 to work on their boards is ridiculous. But realistically, unless you have no other option, you want to be looking at Intel for that sort of stuff. But all that stuff, you can go directly to Intel. Watch this. Download center.intel account. You want graphics. Guess what? You click on graphics. What pops up? And this is normally how easy this is. That's why this sort of UEFI firmware nonsense, where you need TPM firmware, and most brands don't even document that that's going to be in there, right? There you go. Your Intel Arc and Iris Xe. Download that. You get the latest one. You can choose in here between latest, which would be game ready, think of it that way, and the WHQL. Unless you need game ready drivers, don't use them. Use WHQL. Wireless, same sort of thing. We go over here. Look at this. You can just get latest Bluetooth, latest Wi-Fi, slap that in there, right? If you get the tool that we saw in the beginning, which is this guy, this Get Started, once you get these installed directly from Intel, they have to be directly from Intel, their automatic tool, which is included with their graphics driver as well, will keep, like if you have LAN, it'll update it. If you have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, it'll update it. If you have graphics, it'll integrate with the graphics driver and update it. So for you out there that are a bit newer to this, I accidentally clicked the thing, so now it's going to insist I install it. That will be happening. I have an ARC B580 over there, a limited edition, like original Intel release one that's going in my system, so I will have to have this myself. But yeah, you can just get your Intel Wi-Fi drivers directly from them, because I can tell you, if you go to a place like Asus for that, right now, as we pop that out, right, this has an Intel Wi-Fi chipset driver, right? They literally, on their website, do not even have a Windows 11 one. You have to go back to Windows 10. There you go. And it is super duper duper out of date, when this is literally just an Intel AX200 in there, right? Just go to Intel, get the latest one, and if you want to stay up to date on it, download their tool. It actually works quite well. It doesn't actually do anything itself. It just checks and then redirects you to the website, and you hit download and install. It does it all through your browser. So don't forget, once you do get this BIOS update that does this, install it. Some people are saying, in order to get it passed, I don't have it yet. I can't confirm this. And Squeers does not play or have Black Ops 6, so I can't test it right now. You may need to reset your TPM keys and or secure boot and unsecure boot. If you are messing with any of that, turn off your BitLocker. Now, I have real BitLocker because this has Pro for Workstations. This is real BitLocker. You may not have that if you are only running home. If you're only running home, get Pro or even better Enterprise. But I think it's called like Drive Security or something. I can't spell. Or Drive Encryption. Device encryption? There you go, device encryption settings. So this is Home Gamer BitLocker. If you have access to real big boy BitLocker, don't use Home Gamer BitLocker. Microsoft basically invented the device encryption when they started shipping the Surface Pro models without Windows Pro, because it's required to have Windows X Pro to have BitLocker. Yeah. So, and here's the other thing. If you have TPM enabled and you have Secure Boot enabled, right, and you've signed in with your Microsoft account and you have OneDrive installed, it will have automatically signed you in OneDrive. It will automatically enable device and or drive encryption. And And the reason why it waits until the OneDrive connection is it wants to back up your BitLocker recovery keys, and it needs that to do that. So one way to never get BitLockered automatically is just remove OneDrive if you don't use it. The easiest and best way to do that is go to Control Panel, Programs and Features, and it's in here. You just hit uninstall. Poof, gone. Ideally do that before you connect to the internet the first time you set up the PC. Then you never have it. It never shows up again. Except maybe when you do like a feature update. But like that has saved me. But if you have either BitLocker on or device encryption on, and you have to mess with anything relating to the TPM or secure boot, disable it and decrypt it. You can always redo it later if you really want to. Unless you're rocking a laptop at home, unless you fear somebody breaking your house and stealing it. I don't see an issue, and I can tell you from a PC repair perspective, it makes things way harder if it's encrypted and you don't have that shit backed up. If you do have it backed up, you just bop it and put your stuff back. But yeah, if you do encounter some of that, please let me know if you have to do more than just update your BIOS. And yes, that means like update it and put all your settings back. You know, like you have to set Windows as the secure boot type, probably standard. Not other stuff like that. Now, maybe, hopefully by now that's all been defaulted with all these revisions, since they're trying to make it Windows 11 compatible. But put all your settings back. If you need a good way to save your settings, right? Say you've updated the BIOS, and you're going to update the BIOS before you do it, take pictures. Get out your phone, go to each page where you made changes. You know, grab your Pixel. That's why you got it, right? And take the pictures. That way, the menu may not be exactly the same. I'm going to warn you, especially for jumping major versions. It may not be the same, but you can try to find the new place it is. You can make them as close as you can. The other thing to watch out for is if you are extremely behind. We're talking extremely out of date, right? What you're going to run into is you're going to have to step it through. And you might be asking, how do I do the BIOS update? Get yourself a flash drive, 32 gigs or smaller, format it FAT32, huck the file on it, go into the BIOS. How do you do that? Easiest way, pop yourself open terminal, which is the new version of PowerShell, which is sort of the new version of command prompt. You can run both of them in here. If you do a little drop down, you can do new PowerShell window, new command window, or a new command prompt window, or new Azure Cloud Shell window. And what you want is shut down /R, that's restart, right? /FW, that's firmware. That's your UEFI. And it'll go, right? You can also, if you're impatient as shit, do /F, that's force, right? And then /T space 0, that means time 0 seconds. And it will just turn off and go into the UEFI. Some people have even made this into a batch file. You just double click on your desktop or a PS1. That's a PowerShell script. Just double click it right on the desktop. If you're going to do that, maybe don't do time 0, maybe do time 30 or something like that. The force is nice. You can use that if you ever have something where like your PC won't even reboot. Use /F. It doesn't wait for services. It doesn't wait for things to stop. It just punches it, knocks it out. Careful though, because it will not save any work you didn't save that you were doing. But the reason why we're at the AB350, so you want to put that on your 32 gig formatted as FAT32 flash drive. Put that ideally on a back USB port, and then reboot into your UEFI. Like there's BIOS. There's all these different BIOS utility. Like they all have a different name, but there's a BIOS flash utility of some kind in there. Something to watch out for those of you that are super duper out of date. This BIOS requires being on version 7 before updating this version. Then if you go down to version 7, which doesn't even exist, it does, 7 beta, right? Must be on 7, so you have to go through this version. Then you go through here. Well, we go to here. Current BIOS is older than P530. You must go to P530 before updating. Then if you read in here, at certain points, they're starting to cut off generations of CPUs, right? Do not update to a new enough BIOS to lose support of the CPU you currently have. Otherwise, you will have to learn and figure out BIOS flashback. In this case, look, you got to go P3 3.60, then P5.30, then 7.00, and if you go back even further, it keeps going. 3.00, and this is why I personally maintain any BIOS version that I ever do. I keep it because you never know if you might have to go through this again. You hope not. But, you know, in this case, you may actually have to go back to, like, say if this motherboard gets retired or I want to put, like, an older CPU in there, it is very limited. Doesn't support Bristol Ridge CPUs. So if you want to put one of those in there, you have to roll it back, if it's even possible to an older version. But double check your notes. If you're jumping a large number of BIOS revisions, which you very well might be, as most people do not update their BIOS and UEFI. I actually wouldn't recommend you do. As long as it does what you need it to do, and you don't see a benefit in anything or doesn't fix something that you want or need, you don't do it, right? And for the most part, some of you might have built your system, and you might have done a BIOS update enough to get it on Windows 11, but that was announced October of 21, started being released, announced August of 21, started being released October of 21, and most brands had a Windows 11 compatible UEFI by January of 22. So you're 3+ years out of date potentially, right? And still running Windows 11. So questions, comments, throw them down below for stuff like the BIOS updates. If you have questions on that sort of stuff, we always have my social medias, Twitter, Insta, Threads, Blue Sky. But we also do have our Discord. Plenty of you have hopped in the past for support and questions, especially on the front panel headers. Those can be tricky. And we'll see what we can do to help you out. But be aware, I may not have the fix for you yet, because the whole point of these videos is that there is a damn good chance that it doesn't exist in the world yet. Hopefully, since we're seeing movement from these brands, we'll have it by the end of the month, based on Lenovo's timeline. Here's to hoping. See you in the next one. Peace.